real good weather today. It'll be exactly like this on game day. Real good week of practice. Any questions?
You said a few weeks ago that you needed to be a lot better on third down offensively. You have been the last 3 games.
Yeah.
It's gone into just the uptick.
Well, there's probably a handful of things. What we're doing, who's doing it, how are we protecting it, that kind of thing, moving the pocket some. I would say most importantly, though, and I take last week, for instance, we felt like when we broke down the film, Kansas City defended so many 3rd and 6 to 10 and 10 plus. And so there's a little of a, man, we have to be on schedule 1st and 2nd down to get to. So when I don't have them on the top of my head, but when you looked at what our 3rd downs were, if I'm looking at the lower right or even the upper right, that's not good. In that quadrant. Upper left is really good. 2 to 3, everyone's got the ideas. 4 to 6, same way. 7 to 10, 11 plus, it's crickets on the headset. And so part of it is a byproduct of 1st and 2nd down.
Brandon Jones was a sometime starter at Miami. What gave you the confidence he could be an every down guy for you? And
yeah, I think, look, in the offseason, you look closely, it's kind of, well, I'm not going to make the comparison to Demario Davis, but, sometimes you look for certain traits and how do they fit to what you're doing and what the vision is. And he's one that we felt had good football IQ, especially in the system we're playing where the safeties, at times got to cover slot receivers. So it was really trying to find that right shoe.
Wednesday and yesterday, I think he was limited. Was that coming out of the game that he had?
Yeah, and look, he was still. We were patient today, and hopefully we'll be ready. Ray.
When you work with Bo and kind of coach him, like what kind of teaching do you give him to learn from those 2 big sacks that he worked on Sunday?
Well, look, I would say a strength of his is his sack to pass attempt ratio. If you guys put it together, he'd be near the top of the league. And so there's a couple free rushers, and throwing it away sounds easy, but you have to know, is there a target? And then the greatest thing you could say would be if you can get outside the tackle box, you can throw it anywhere. Now, he's really athletic, and if he couldn't, then sometimes that happens. But you be careful to tell him too much when he's really good at something, if that makes any sense. You be careful to tell him too much. Obviously, the escape avenues are outside the tackles. Then you kind of get to the note, but it's something that he's done pretty well.
your pass protection metrics are been very good all year. Did that influence your decision to play Bo early, or would something like that?
I think I've said this before. Show me good pass protection metrics, and I'm going to show you a quarterback that doesn't take sacks. In other words, listen, it's a credit to the O-line, but there's some quarterbacks that are tough to protect for. Hold the ball long. I've just gone through it in my career, and others, Breeze was a hard sack because the ball came out. And so it made everyone around him better. And so I think those metrics are offensive line and quarterback-driven metrics. And so remember when he came out and it was hard to find him taking sacks. And there was a lot talked about with his underneath throw. We removed all those in the study. We removed them all with because these guys can only run the offense they're running. And so when we did the study with all of these guys, all the bubbles and those were removed. And then Tony comes downstairs and says, You know, he doesn't take sacks and he doesn't fumble. Knock on wood, never fumbled once in Oregon. And so I think we've been by and large healthy in the offensive line, and I think together from a protection standpoint and the QB, I think you've seen an uptick there.
I'm wondering if you didn't feel good about the front, would that have influenced your decision to play him right away? I know it's a hypothetical.
Well, being honest, when you draft someone, I think in the first round, you know at some point they're going to be on the field, and then, but to start them, that had to be something earned. Like, I can't start someone when the locker room feels someone else should be starting. I just can't do that, and I think he earned that.
Coach, with Bo and his ability to avoid sacks and not take sacks, is that something that most quarterbacks either have or don't, or is that a coachable trait?
That's a fair question and a good one. It gets back to, well, first off, there's an athleticism element to it. I don't know that any of us saw the speed that we're seeing now. But if the processing mechanism is slow, that can be improved, but can it be improved enough? You know, the hardest thing for us to always measure is, man, how do they process? Like, can they multitask? You know, you got a motion, snap point, you got a new mic. Like, I have this car, I've told you the story, that I just know how to defrost and I know how to work the radio. It's got 50 other features, but I can't multitask like that. So I just put it on a radio station and drive. He can heat the back seat if you want it warm. I can't. It's going to be cold.
Was talking this week that sometimes with young quarterbacks, if they're not turning the ball over, it may be because they're playing too safe. But with Bo, he sees him still push the ball down the field. I guess how impressive is that he's able to still push it while avoiding the turnover work?
You remember when we used that analogy of watching a boring round from a good golfer? You know, you felt that way in college. You didn't feel in harm's way. That's a good trait to have. And the opposite is tough. You know, in every play, you don't. And so that's something that he's done a very good job with before he arrived here.
Having been a quarterback when you played, and you see Bo with, like you said, that ability to kind of go through everything in the car, like, what is, from a former quarterback's perspective, like, how much do you kind of almost admire kind of what he can do multitasking?
Yeah, listen, we got more ex-quarterbacks in this building than we have. One who's overcoming a tumor right now in Grassi, right? Kilgore, all right? And we got Davis Webb, and we've got Slim from Tulane. I think we got about 8 quarterbacks in here. And so all of us get a chance to just see, and having played the position, and, you know, we're coaching, he's playing. So there's, you know, for me, it was, all right, you've got to find another living. I'm like, well, I still don't want to leave. And so this is it, you know, there's a little bit of that institutionalized, if you will, where I got to figure out something here. I went to a seminar with a coat and tie, a business seminar, sales. And it was the longest 3 hours. And I said, that's not for me. It's my dad did, but it's interesting to watch, and you can see it from a quarterback's perspective. Like, oftentimes you can see decisions maybe why this might have happened, and appreciate it.
How did Reynolds come through the week?
Huh?
How did Reynolds come through the week?
Good. I mean, listen, it was great to have him back out here, and I think the players appreciated having him back out here. That was good.
About 24 years ago, about this time of the season, you're working under Jim Fossil when he made that chips on the table guarantee, and you were on the staff. How did you feel when he kind of put it all out there like that?
I think what happened, if my memory serves me right, it was my first year as the offensive coordinator. We started the season 3-0. and we got on a winning stretch, and then we lost a few. And I don't remember feeling anything other than, hey, in New York, there was a lot made of it, and yet we still got to go play and win, and so there was nothing that I remember about it other than I do remember it, and it's like he felt strongly we had a good team, and we had just hit a stretch there where all of a sudden we lost a few, and then kind of righting the ship moment. But that's that would never be my style. All right, thanks.